Welcome. My name is Amy, and I will be your personal guide as together we explore strategies to improve your skills to make you a more effective leader. You've taken an important step in enhancing and expanding your ability to interact with others in a meaningful and impactful manner, and I want you to get everything you can out of this training. This training is designed so that you can take it at your own pace. Take your time, do the activities to ensure you will be able to put your new learning into practice. Learning alone will not make you successful. You must take action. It is only through the application of our knowledge that we can truly shine, and I know you can shine. We're in this journey together. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time with your questions or comments. I'm here for you. Now, before we get started, make sure you've printed off your training guide. This will help you capture all the key information you will need to put your learning into practice. I know, it may seem old school, but some of the latest research shows that writing out notes is the most effective way for adults to learn. So if you haven't printed out your guide yet, hit that pause button and go do that right now. All ready? Excellent. It's my pleasure to be your guide through this training. Let's begin. How to manage people in a virtual meeting. Many of you may be in a position where you must lead some or maybe even all of your meetings virtually. While some of you have experience with this, for many of you, it may be your first time. This training will provide you with some of the tips and tricks to help you in leading people during this new leadership challenge. It is important to remember that many of the skills you need to effectively lead an in-person meeting are the same skills needed for virtual meetings. How you apply the skills may be a bit different, but the foundational skills are the same. While you might be able to get away with poor meeting management skills during an in-person meeting, you must be on your game during virtual meetings. Leading a virtual meeting calls more attention to the leader's ability to keep people engaged and focused. There are more opportunities for meeting attendees to disengage or become distracted, so the leader must be prepared to handle these situations in order to keep the meeting efficient and effective. Strategy 1. Setting the tone. The way you interact with everyone during the meeting is what establishes your credibility as a leader. It is your job as the leader of the meeting to set the tone. Holding people to the pre-established expectations of the meeting sets a tone. It is a tone of respect and professionalism. Not holding people accountable also sets a tone. It sets a tone that says it's okay if you don't get your work done, and it doesn't matter what type of impact that may have on your colleagues. You need to go into the meeting knowing what the tone is that you want to set and to have a plan for how you're going to do that. This includes knowing how you're going to handle situations that may be counterproductive to your tone. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. Ronald Reagan. For example, a common expectation is that everyone comes to the meeting prepared. That means they have already done any pre-reading or pre-work that was requested. That means they are ready to competently and coherently talk about any of the agenda items that they are responsible for. I've been to too many meetings when somebody is asked to share and they respond by asking for 5 more minutes or asked to be moved later in the agenda because they're not quite ready. This means they have not met the expectation. What they are really saying is, I'm not prepared, but you go ahead with the meeting, and instead of listening and participating, I'm going to be doing the stuff I agreed to have done already. Not only is that disrespectful to you, but it shows a lack of respect and lack of regard for every single person in that meeting. First, you definitely need to have a post-meeting discussion with that person regarding their ability to complete their task and remind them of the meeting expectations and laying out any possible consequences. But in the immediate situation, you have 2 options. You can oblige the request, knowing that you have lost their engagement in the meeting and indicating that by not being prepared or respecting the time of others, that's an acceptable way to behave. Or you can tell the person no. Either they share their report now as it is, or they have to send a written report after the meeting. If you do this, you need to make it clear to everyone in the room that this is an issue of respecting everyone's time and talent. Don't let it become an issue about a specific individual. There is an expectation that during the meeting you listen attentively to others. you provide feedback as appropriate, and you're ready to contribute to the discussion and the decisions. That can't be done if you're focused on other work. Your objective is that if you are in the meeting, you are at the meeting. You are engaged, you are participating, you are mentally present. Strategy 2, building connections. In a physical setting, it is natural for people to chat on a more social level as they arrive and depart from the meeting. This social connection is where much of the bonding and trust is established. In a virtual meeting, you need to build team culture into the meeting. An easy way to do that is to incorporate a social response into the roll call. Under the guise of both checking to see who is in the meeting and verifying that their audio and camera is working properly, ask for a specific response. Instead of simply saying, yes, present, here, ask them to respond to a question. The depth of the question you ask should be appropriate for how well the participants know each other. If they are new to each other, you can start with identifying their location, any children, pets, favorite or most recent vacation, favorite food, etc. Some small, quick item to help the team feel more connected with each other. For groups that know each other better and who may be more familiar with using meeting technology, you could have everyone share a photo, and people must figure out which photo goes with which person. This might be a photo of shoes that they are wearing, their favorite coffee mug or water bottle, the chair that they're sitting in. Again, something quick that helps everyone bond and establish rapport with each other. Questions or photos that express where, what, or how are always great starters. Strategy 3, keep communication flowing. In an office setting, the after or between meeting conversations tend to happen organically. As you pass someone in the hall or at the water cooler or stroll past their office, you are naturally inclined to check in with them. You get a feel for where they're at with their work, what things from the meeting are getting done, and what they're feeling frustrated with. It's common to ask questions, get clarifications, and establish support for efforts being made. If you are not routinely physically interacting with the meeting participants, then you need to be very intentional about making virtual interactions happen on a regular basis. In virtual environments, leaders need to be intentional about providing opportunities for those in-between meeting check-in conversations. That means scheduling random 5-minute chats. These chats should not be over email or an instant message service. They need to be either on the phone or a video conference system. Remember, it's not just making sure that work is moving forward, it's also about forwarding the relationship with the other person. You want them to feel supported, appreciated, and valued. Working virtually can make people feel isolated at times. Quick verbal check-ins, similar to what happens organically in an office, still need to take place. And I want to clarify what I mean when I say people need to feel supported. Too many times I have watched someone express frustration or challenges related to the task, and the leader wanted to know if this was going to cause a delay in the task getting finished. This does not make the employee feel supported. What you, the leader, should do is help the person come up with strategies or identify resources to help them overcome the issues they are having. It's not about doing the work for them or taking it off their plate, but helping them figure out how to solve the problem. After all, your ability to solve problems is likely one of the reasons you are in a leadership role. So be a leader and guide them towards possible solutions. I also stated that these virtual check-ins should be scheduled. In an ideal world, they would be scheduled for an office environment as well. Scheduling a quick chat shows that your inquiry is not random but has a purpose. You, as a leader, genuinely want to know how people are doing. It also shows respect for the other person's time. Just as randomly dropping by someone's office can be disruptive to one's work, so can calling unexpectedly. So whenever possible, schedule these conversations, even if it's only 20 or 30 minutes in advance. As Eyal Zofi says, to master the virtual equation and make all the elements work together, you have to become the connector. Remember too that a little appreciation can go a long way in building and maintaining connections with others. Be sure to show some gratitude and thank everyone for their contributions to the meeting or project. As challenging as leading from a virtual space can be, Don't forget that your employees are facing the same dynamics of a virtual world as well. Putting it all together. Working in a virtual world requires a delicate balance between managing the process of virtual meetings and communications and leading the people who are participating in those meetings and communications. The more effective you are at connecting process and people, aka interpersonal skills, the more effective leader you can be. You choose. So which of these strategies do you need to work on improving? What can you do to be more effective as a virtual leader? Are you currently setting the tone for your meeting? Do you have clearly identified expectations as to how everyone is to participate? Do you have pre-established consequences for when those expectations are not met? How are you building connections during the meeting? How are you communicating and connecting with people outside of the meeting? How are you supporting people? How are you monitoring progress? How are you recognizing achievements? What will be the first action step you take towards building your virtual meeting leadership skills? Pick one strategy to focus on. What can you do to start making that skill a positive habit? Did you jot down notes on what that skill entails? If not, you may want to go back and rewatch that part of the training. If you want to improve a specific skill, you must consciously and consistently be practicing the actions that demonstrate that skill. So again, which skill are you going to start with? And what are the specific strategies you need to practice to improve that skill? Write down those actions on your worksheet. Practice is what will develop the skill into a habit. Master one habit before you move on to the next. Small steps will lead to big changes. Become a virtual meeting master, one small step at a time. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to let me guide you through this training. I hope that you found it useful, and I really hope that you stick to your plan and start taking small steps to better managing people during virtual meetings.